Believe it or not, the ketchup on your burger today was once sold in pharmacies as a cure-all medicine for serious ailments. In the 1830s, an Ohio doctor marketed ketchup as a remedy for indigestion, jaundice, and even diarrhea. Dr. John Cook Bennett called it compound extract of tomato, and it was peddled across the U.S. as a life-saving tonic. It became a massive craze. People were even taking ketchup in pill form, believing it held the secret essence of health. By 1850, the medicine bubble burst, but people realized they loved the taste, and it evolved into the condiment we know today. It was Henry Heinz who later standardized the recipe, making it safe, consistent, and a global staple. So next time you dip a fry, remember you're enjoying what used to be a dubious health tonic. Who knew? Thanks for watching this tasty piece of history. Did you know the first animated feature film wasn't from Disney? It was born in Argentina in 1917. Long before Mickey Mouse, a masterpiece titled El Apostol made history in Buenos Aires. This was a time of great creative explosion in the Southern Hemisphere, leading the way in cinema. El Apostol was the world's first full-length animated movie, running for an impressive 70 minutes. It used a unique system of cardboard cutouts and stop-motion photography, a precursor to modern techniques. Each character was jointed with tiny threads, allowing for fluid motion that amazed audiences of the time. The production was massive, requiring over 58,000 individual drawings, all crafted by hand. The visionary behind this project was the brilliant Italian-Argentine filmmaker, Quirino Cristiani. Cristiani wasn't just an animator, he was a pioneer who saw the potential of cinema as a true art form. To understand the film, we must understand the turbulent political landscape of Argentina at the time. Cristiani used the medium to question authority and speak truth to power through humor. This wasn't a fairy tale. It was a sharp, biting political satire meant to provoke and challenge the status quo. The film targeted President Hipólito Yrigoyen, mocking his leadership style and specific government policies. Yrigoyen was a polarizing figure, and Cristiani used animation to voice public dissent in a completely new way. When it premiered, it was a massive success, captivating audiences and running for over a year in theaters. To achieve 70 minutes of animation in 1917 was a monumental technical achievement for the entire world. It set a standard that wouldn't be met by other countries for years to come. Each frame had to be painstakingly composed, lit, and photographed by hand, day after day, for months. The film captured the imagination of the public, proving animation could tell long, complex stories. But despite its fame and historical importance, a tragic event would erase this masterpiece. In 1926, a devastating fire broke out at the Vale studio where the master copies were kept. Nitrate film is highly flammable and burns with intense heat. Within minutes, history was reduced to ash. No copies survived the inferno. Today, we only have a few surviving sketches and photographs. It became a ghost of cinema, a lost pioneer that remains a mystery to most modern viewers. Its influence, however, paved the way for the animation industry and the icons we know today. The first animated movie was lost to fire, but its spirit lives on in every frame we create today. This story reminds us of the fragility of our history and the importance of preserving art for the future, a forgotten gem that pioneered the world of cinema. Thank you for watching this piece of history. Did you know that right now, your brain is literally eating itself? It sounds like something out of a horror movie, but it's actually a genius biological process. This process is called phagocytosis. It's a vital mechanism where your brain cells consume their own damaged parts to stay healthy and efficient. Think of it as a highly specialized recycling program. Specialized cells called microglia act as the brain's primary immune defense and cleanup crew. Without this self-cannibalism, your brain would quickly become a graveyard of dead cells and toxic debris, leading to all sorts of cognitive issues. By recycling these damaged components, your brain ensures that energy isn't wasted and that every neuron can perform at its absolute peak. This prevents the buildup of harmful proteins and debris that are often linked to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's or dementia. It's a gross but genius way evolution has kept us thinking straight throughout history. Your brain is constantly optimizing itself from the inside out. Microglia are incredibly active. They are constantly surveying their environment, looking for any sign of trouble or damage that needs attention. Once they engulf the waste, they use enzymes to break it down into basic building blocks that the brain can actually reuse. This happens every single second of every single day. Even while you're sleeping, your brain is busy cleaning house and preparing for the next day. In fact, sleep is one of the most critical times for this process. It's when your brain's waste management system goes into overdrive. The glymphatic system opens up during sleep, allowing fluid to flush out toxins and helping the cells eat up the remaining waste. If you don't get enough sleep or maintain your health, this process slows down. This is why you feel that heavy brain fog after a long night. Your brain literally becomes cluttered. The cells can't keep up with the waste, and your mental clarity begins to suffer. But you can help your brain's self-eating habits stay efficient through healthy habits like exercise, a good diet, and staying hydrated. Exercise in particular triggers a similar process called autophagy, which helps cells all over your body, including your brain, recycle waste. Keeping this system running smoothly is one of the best things you can do for your long-term cognitive health and longevity. Researchers are now looking at ways to enhance this process to treat brain diseases that were once thought to be untreatable. By understanding how the brain eats itself to stay healthy, we're opening doors to a new era of brain science and mental wellness. It's a reminder of just how complex and self-sustaining our bodies really are. We are truly walking miracles of biological engineering. So next time you think about your health, remember, your brain is working hard to keep its own space clean and sharp. Take care of your brain and it will take care of you. Thanks for watching and stay curious about the wonders of your own mind. Stay sharp, stay healthy. Have you ever thought about the fact that water isn't actually wet? It sounds like a total brain teaser, but science has a very specific definition for what wet actually means. To understand this paradox, we have to look at the interaction between liquids and solids. In physics, wetness isn't an inherent property of a liquid itself. Wetness is actually the ability of a liquid to adhere to the surface of a solid. When we say something is wet, we're describing that physical connection. This brings us to two key forces, adhesion and cohesion. Adhesion is the attraction between different molecules, while cohesion is the attraction between similar ones. So if water is only wet when it touches something else, what is it when it's just water? To itself, water is purely cohesive. It's not wetting itself. Think about a hydrophobic surface like a lotus leaf. Water beads up and rolls right off. In this case, the leaf never gets wet because the water doesn't adhere to it. At a molecular level, water is just a collection of H2O molecules held together by hydrogen bonds. There is no wetness property in those individual molecules. So why does it feel so wet? Our brains don't actually have a wetness sensor. Instead, we perceive it through a combination of touch, pressure, and temperature. When your brain feels that specific cold, slippery sensation, it interprets it as wet. But scientifically, that's just your nerves responding to thermal and tactile changes. Surface tension is another big factor. It's the cohesive force that pulls the water molecules inward, making them stick to each other rather than the surface. This is what allows insects like water striders to literally walk on water. They aren't getting wet because they aren't breaking that cohesive surface. Take liquid mercury. It's a liquid, but it doesn't wet most surfaces. It stays in tight, silvery beads because its cohesion is much stronger than its adhesion to the table. In chemistry, we use wetting agents to reduce surface tension. This allows liquids to spread and actually make things wet, which is vital for everything from laundry to painting. This concept is fundamental to material science. It's how we design the advanced waterproof gear and medical coatings that we rely on every day. So, to recap, water is the liquid that makes things wet, but wet is a description of the bond between the liquid and the solid. Water isn't wet to itself. In our daily lives, we'll always call water wet, but understanding the hidden physics behind it makes the natural world feel even more incredible. The world is full of these scientific surprises hiding in plain sight. It just takes a little curiosity to find them. Thanks for diving in with me. Physics isn't just in textbooks, it's in every drop of rain. Keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Female gladiators fought in ancient Rome, a fact that shatters the long-held male-only myth of the arena. Rare but real. These women warriors, known as gladiatrices, battled just like men, thrilling massive crowds. Historical records and stone reliefs, like the famous Amazon and Achillea carving, prove their existence. They weren't just a curiosity. They were skilled combatants who commanded respect and awe. But how did these women end up in the arena? Their journey was as complex as the Roman Empire itself. Surprisingly, many came from high-status families, seeking glory or escaping the constraints of their social class. They trained in ludi, the same rigorous schools as male gladiators, mastering weapons and tactics. They fought as provocatores or essedari, often wielding the short sword known as the gladius. Their training was no less brutal, focusing on strength, agility, and the psychological edge needed for battle. Stepping into the arena meant facing potential death for the sake of public entertainment. Emperors like Domitian were known to host night battles featuring women under torchlight. Imagine the spectacle, the clash of steel under the stars, the air thick with smoke and anticipation. In the sand of the arena, gender mattered less than skill and the willingness to die well. However, this era of the gladiatrix would eventually come to an end in the year 200 AD. Emperor Septimius Severus officially banned women from the arena, citing concerns about social order. Critics argued that participating in such spectacles brought shame to the families of noble women. Despite the ban, the legacy of these warriors lived on in secret accounts and archaeological finds. In London, the discovery of the Great Dover Street Woman hints at the burial of a female gladiator. The items buried with her suggest she was someone of significant status within the gladiator community. Modern historians are now re-evaluating these stories, giving these women their rightful place in history. Their story challenges our understanding of gender roles in the ancient world. It proves that the drive for glory and the spirit of the warrior are not limited to one gender. While records are rare, every inscription found tells a story of incredible bravery. The Colosseum stands as a monument to many, including the women whose names have been lost to time. Their voices might be echoes now, but their impact on Roman culture was undeniable. The gladiatrices prove that history is often far more diverse than the myths we tell ourselves. They fought for glory, for freedom, and for the roar of the crowd. They were the rare, real legends of the Roman spectacle. Next time you think of Rome, remember the women who stood their ground in the heart of the arena. The history of Rome is their history too. Thank you for watching. Welcome to a deep dive into one of nature's most fascinating hybrids, the beefalo. You might have heard the name, but do you know why it's a game changer? A beefalo is a real cow-bison hybrid. It's not just a legend. It's a fertile cross that blends the best of two worlds. Breeders cross domestic cattle with the American bison to create a creature that is as manageable as a cow, but as tough as a buffalo. This breeding process wasn't just for show. It was a strategic move to create a hardier, more efficient animal for the American landscape. From their bison side, beefalo inherited a thick coat and a stubborn constitution, making them incredibly hardy in the wild. They can forage in conditions that would be lethal to standard cattle, reducing the need for expensive supplemental feed. But the benefits aren't just for the ranchers. For consumers, beefalo is a protein-packed meat alternative. It's significantly leaner than traditional beef, offering a heart-healthy option without sacrificing that rich, meaty flavor. In fact, beefalo meat is known for having lower cholesterol levels, making it a favorite for those watching their diet. Some call it a Franken animal, but this hybrid is actually a masterpiece of natural crossing and selective breeding. Unlike some other hybrids, beefalo are fertile, allowing them to sustain their own populations on ranches today. They are increasingly popular among sustainable farmers who value their low-impact foraging and natural resilience. Now, let's talk about the taste. Beefalo offers a rich, slightly sweeter flavor than standard beef. It lacks the gaminess sometimes found in pure bison, making it the perfect upgrade for your next backyard barbecue. Because it's so lean, it cooks faster, locking in juices and providing a tender texture that's hard to beat. You can find beefalo at specialized butchers, health food stores, and directly from rancher cooperatives. Choosing beefalo often means supporting local, family-owned ranches that prioritize animal welfare and land stewardship. Their ability to thrive on native grasses means a lower environmental footprint compared to grain-fed industrial cattle. It's a win for the rancher, a win for the planet, and most importantly, a win for your dinner plate. When cooking beefalo, remember to go low and slow to preserve that lean moisture and delicate flavor. The beefalo honors the heritage of the American West while looking forward to a more sustainable future in meat production. So next time you're firing up the grill, think hybrid, think beefalo. Thanks for watching. Lean, healthy, and delicious. Experience the best of both worlds. Did you know that oranges aren't naturally orange? In fact, the original oranges were actually green. Coming from the tropical regions of Southeast Asia, these fruits evolved in a climate where it stays warm year-round. In these tropical environments, oranges stay green even when they're perfectly ripe and ready to eat. The green color comes from chlorophyll, the same pigment that helps plants turn sunlight into energy. So why do the oranges in your local grocery store look so vibrant? It's all about the temperature. When the weather turns cold, the chlorophyll in the skin breaks down, revealing the orange pigments underneath. These pigments are called carotenoids, and they've been hiding there the whole time, waiting for the cold. Today, oranges are grown all over the world, but the specific local climate still dictates their natural color. In places like Thailand and Vietnam, many varieties are still sold and enjoyed while they're bright green. But in Western markets, consumers have come to expect their oranges to be, well, perfectly orange. To meet this expectation, some commercial growers use a process called degreening after harvest. The fruit is exposed to ethylene gas, a natural plant hormone that speeds up the breakdown of that green chlorophyll. It's important to know that degreening doesn't actually make the fruit sweeter. It only changes its outside appearance. A green-skinned orange can be just as sweet and juicy as an orange one, if not even more so. Originally, oranges were a hybrid between a pomelo and a mandarin, both of which have their own color quirks. Humans have been cultivating them for thousands of years, selecting for traits like size, sweetness, and yes, color. Regardless of their skin color, oranges remain a massive powerhouse of vitamin C and vital antioxidants. The name orange actually comes from the Sanskrit word for the fruit tree, not the color of the fruit itself. In fact, the English language didn't even have a word for the color orange until the fruit was introduced to Europe. Green oranges are often used in specific culinary traditions to make marmalades or juices with a unique, tangy profile. In nature, perfection isn't always a uniform color. It's a vibrant and diverse spectrum of survival. Accepting green oranges can even help reduce the environmental impact of chemical degreening processes. So next time you see a green orange, remember, it's not unripe, it's just keeping its tropical roots alive. You won't believe it, but one of history's greatest conquerors, Alexander the Great, was likely buried while he was still alive. Alexander built an empire that stretched from Greece to India, becoming a living legend before the age of 30. But in June 323 BC, while in Babylon, he suddenly fell ill after a long night of drinking and celebration. He suffered from a high fever and excruciating pain, eventually losing the ability to move or speak. The royal physicians were baffled. In the ancient world, his condition looked like a divine curse or a slow-acting poison. On June 13th, his doctors officially declared him dead. But this is where the story gets truly terrifying. For 6 days, his body showed no signs of decay, even in the sweltering heat of the Babylonian summer. Witnesses called it a miracle, proof that Alexander wasn't just a man, but a god who couldn't rot. Today, scientists have a much more chilling explanation: a rare neurological disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome. GBS causes the body's immune system to attack its own nerves, leading to ascending paralysis from the feet up. Researchers believe Alexander was paralyzed, but fully conscious, his mind sharp, while his body remained a prison. Imagine the horror. He was likely awake, listening as his generals fought over his empire and his funeral was prepared. Because he wasn't breathing heavily and his pulse was faint, ancient doctors assumed he had passed away. He was placed in a golden sarcophagus, a vessel fit for a king, which would soon become his tomb. The funeral procession was one of the most extravagant in history, lasting for over a year as it traveled toward Egypt. Eventually, he was laid to rest in Alexandria. To this day, the exact location of his tomb remains a mystery. Dr. Catherine Hall of the University of Otago first proposed this theory, citing his lack of decomposition as the key evidence. History is full of stories of premature burial, but none involve a figure as powerful or influential as Alexander. It forces us to rethink everything we know about his final days and the limitations of ancient medical knowledge. Even in death, Alexander continues to fascinate and surprise us, his life ending as dramatically as it began. A conqueror of worlds, trapped in his own body, facing the ultimate human fear. What do you think? Was he truly buried alive? Let us know in the comments and follow for more history mysteries. In the dark heart of the tropical forest, a silent killer is at work. It doesn't use teeth or claws, it uses chemistry. This is Ophiocordyceps, a parasitic fungus that turns ordinary ants into real-life zombies. It's a biological hijacking straight out of a horror movie. It starts with a single spore. Once it lands, it secretes enzymes to burn through the ant's tough shell and enter the bloodstream. Inside, the fungus grows as a network of cells, wrapping around the ant's muscles and invading its central nervous system. The fungus doesn't just kill the ant, it controls it. It forces the ant to leave the safety of its colony and embark on a final, fatal mission. Driven by the parasite, the ant climbs exactly 25 centimeters above the forest floor, the perfect environment for the fungus to thrive. In its final act of obedience, the ant sinks its jaws into a leaf vein, locking itself in place forever. This is known as the death grip. With the ant dead and anchored, the fungus begins its final transformation. It consumes the ant's internal organs for fuel to grow its fruiting body. A stalk erupts from the ant's head, growing several inches long, capped with a bulbous structure full of fresh spores. From this vantage point, the fungus rains spores down onto the forest floor, waiting for the next unsuspecting victim to walk by. As terrifying as it sounds, This parasite plays a vital role in nature, preventing any one ant species from becoming too dominant and overrunning the forest. In some areas, you can find entire zombie graveyards, where hundreds of ants have met the same gruesome fate. The ants aren't defenseless. They've evolved social immunity, grooming infected members and carrying them far away from the colony to stop the spread. And it's not just ants. Thousands of cordyceps species exist, each specializing in hijacking a specific type of insect, from spiders to moths. This natural phenomenon is so haunting, it inspired the infected creatures in The Last of Us, bridging the gap between nature and fiction. But don't worry, Ophiocordyceps is highly specialized. Our complex biology is far too different for it to make the jump to humans. At least, for now. Scientists are actually studying these fungi for their potential in medicine, looking for new ways to manipulate cells and fight disease. Nature's most terrifying puppets might eventually provide the key to saving human lives. It's a strange irony of evolution. Despite the horror of the fungus, ant colonies remain some of the most resilient and successful societies on the planet. The zombie ant fungus reminds us that nature is far more complex and often far more terrifying than anything we could ever imagine. In the endless cycle of life and death, even the smallest creatures play a part in a story that's millions of years in the making. Thanks for watching. If you found this as fascinating and creepy as we did, don't forget to like and subscribe for more wonders of the natural world. Stay curious about the natural world. Have you ever heard of a miracle that defies the very laws of biology? Welcome to the unbelievable true story of Mike, the chicken who lived without a head. In the 1940s, this feathered wonder survived a botched decapitation and became a bizarre national celebrity for 18 incredible months. It all began on September 10, 1945, on a quiet farm in Fruita, Colorado, owned by Lloyd Olson. Lloyd was preparing chickens for market. But when his axe came down on one young rooster, the result was anything but ordinary. The bird survived. The next morning, Lloyd found the bird alive, sleeping peacefully. Astonished by its resilience, he decided to see if he could keep it going. Biologically, it was a miracle. The axe had missed the jugular vein and left the brainstem completely intact, allowing basic life functions to continue. Lloyd named him Mike and began feeding him a mixture of milk and water using an eyedropper, along with small grains of corn directly into his throat. Mike's throat also had to be cleared of mucus with a syringe to prevent him from choking, a delicate task that Lloyd performed faithfully. Soon, word of the headless wonder spread far beyond Fruita. Mike was about to become a household name across America. He was featured in Time and Life magazines, and Lloyd soon took Mike on a touring sideshow circuit, captivating audiences nationwide. People lined up and paid 25 cents to see the bird that defied death, earning Lloyd the equivalent of thousands of dollars a month. Mike was displayed as a feathered miracle. Despite his lack of a head, he could still balance on a perch and even tried to crow. Even scientists were intrigued. Mike was taken to the University of Utah, where skeptical researchers confirmed he was indeed healthy and functional. The studies proved that a bird's brainstem alone could coordinate the complex systems needed for survival, balance, and basic movement. But Mike's extraordinary journey came to an end in March 1947 during a stop in Phoenix, Arizona. In the middle of the night, Mike began to choke. Tragically, Lloyd had left the syringe used to clear his throat at the previous show, and Mike passed away. Today, Mike is a legend in his hometown. Fruita, Colorado, still celebrates him every year with the Mike the Headless Chicken Festival. A permanent metal statue stands as a tribute to his resilience, a reminder of one of the most bizarre chapters in American history. Mike's story is a testament to the sheer resilience of life and the incredible complexity of biology. A feathered miracle indeed. Thanks for joining us for this look at the life of Miracle Mike. Until next time, when you hear the roar of a chainsaw, you likely think of lumberjacks, forests, or maybe even horror movies. But the true story behind its invention is far more terrifying than any slasher film you've ever seen. Chainsaws weren't invented to cut wood. They were designed by doctors in the late 18th century to aid in difficult childbirths. In the late 1700s, before modern anesthesia, complicated deliveries were often life-or-death situations for both mother and child. When a baby was too large, doctors performed a symphysiotomy, a procedure to manually widen the birth canal by cutting bone. Before the chainsaw, this was done with small knives and handsaws. It was a slow, agonizing, and incredibly dangerous process. Scottish doctors John Aitken and James Jeffrey sought a better way. In the 1780s, they invented the first medical chainsaw. This tool featured a fine, serrated chain that moved around a guide. It was hand-cranked and allowed for faster, more precise cutting. The device worked. It could slice through pelvic bone and cartilage much more efficiently than traditional tools. For nearly a century, variations of this osteotome remained a standard part of obstetric kits around the world. But as medicine advanced and safer methods like the C-section became common, the medical chainsaw found a new purpose. By the late 1800s, loggers realized that this chain mechanism could be scaled up to tackle the world's toughest timber. The tool grew in size and power, evolving from a delicate surgical instrument into a heavy, gasoline-powered beast. It traded life-saving precision for raw industrial power, becoming the tool we recognize on construction sites and in forests today. It's a bizarre irony. A machine now associated with destruction and horror began its life as a tool to bring life into the world. Thankfully, medical breakthroughs have left these brutal practices in the past, giving us the safe healthcare we have today. So, next time you hear that mechanical growl in the woods, remember its strange Scottish medical roots. The history of technology is often stranger than fiction. The chainsaw's journey is a cut above the rest. Thanks for watching. If you found this as shocking as we did, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history.